Okay, so what makes Ethereum great? Well, Ethereum is considered to be the trusted global single database, specifically a ledger database. And so on the planet, there are bazillion siloed databases storing its own data, and one global database exists in Ethereum. And so this is benefit number one. Benefit number two of using Ethereum, feature number two, is that it supports smart contracts. And so not only does it store data, but you can also do code programming. And then feature number three of Ethereum, that there's a built-in native currency, and it's called ETH. And because of this, then all of a sudden you have this notion of programmable money. So you have storage, you have code, and you have money. That's what Ethereum provides. Now, underneath it, Ethereum is underpinned by a distributed network of nodes. And distributed is good because, number one, you store the data across different parts of the planet. So if one goes down, the others are still running. And also, it's distributed because, number two, we can share how data is entered into this ledger, and it's done through consensus. And so originally it was done through proof of work, which was energy hungry and it uses a lot of compute. And this has been since replaced with proof of stake, which is also Ethereum 2.0. And this is now less hungry, and you just need to put up some ETH to be able to participate in the staking environment. Okay, and so on top of this network, we have people who are want to use it. So we have, let's say, for instance, 3 persons. And this is Bob, this is Alice, and this is John. And let's say he's got one address to reach him. And so these addresses are the only way you can find these people. So we call this a pseudo anonymous, and which makes it a public network. Okay, and so what can you do? What can these actors do on this network? So one of the things that they can do is that John can send Ethereum, ETH, which is money, from Alice to Bob. And so this is just by sending from John's address to Alice's address. The problem with Ethereum is because it's global and there's certain shortcomings with it. And one of the shortcomings is that it's slow. And currently it only does about 30 transactions per second. So for a global ledger, that's super slow. And number two, it's expensive. And so, for instance, to transfer $1, you might have to pay $20 in fees. And that is the reason why there is a proposed layer 2, this is layer 1, solution to do a bunch of transactions and then occasionally lodge it here onto the global ledger. And so that way, this one you can see speed up, you can see decrease in cost, and yet have the global recognition of a a central database such as Ethereum. Now that we have established the features of Ethereum, that it can be a storage, it can support programmability, and it supports its own native currency. Now let's take a look at the other factors of Ethereum. The first factor we need to look at is that in the middle, we can see that there's these three actors, and then they each will have their own digital wallet. So John, Alice, and Bob will all have their own digital wallet. And in their digital wallet, it will be tied to their address. And in this, maybe in this made-up example, you can have Hive ETH and so forth. And so in the example where John is got 10 ETH and wants to transfer some ETH to Alice, the beauty of this network, Ethereum, that supports a native token is that John can make a transfer to Alice and doesn't have to go through a bank and doesn't have to go through a government. So this is done purely electronically without needing to go through these centralized resources. And this is the big concept of decentralization, which means no government and no bank. Okay, and so, but eventually, to be able to connect this Ethereum world to the real world, we need a crypto exchange. And crypto exchange examples are Binance or Crypto.com or Robinhood. And so these crypto exchanges basically allows you to convert your ETH into fiat. And so you can have USD. These, unfortunately, are called centralized finance. And then because they're centralized, then there's probably going to be the government eyeing it. And so that's a benefit of Ethereum, is that you can make peer-to-peer transference of currency, but for that current cryptocurrency to eventually pop up into the real world vis-a-vis fiat, you need to go through a crypto exchange, which are centralized exchanges. So focusing more on what you can do with this Ethereum network, one of the popular applications called DeFi, decentralized finance. And one of the use cases that John might have some crypto for lending, and in return might get some interest payment. Another use case is NFT, and you can have an artist that creates some sort of a magical digital art. It's very fantastic looking, and registers that into the marketplace and then sells it and gets ETH for it. And also the owner who owns it now can show it off and can maybe even get external benefits from it. That's the physical benefits are associated with ownership of a NFT art. Okay, and so I cluttered the screen, but I tried to cover in a high level of the features of Ethereum, which is it's a storage, it supports code, it supports its native currency called ETH. It's underpinned by a distributed network, and all transactions have to go through consensus voting. Currently, it's a point of proof of stake. The network is public, but the actors are now pseudo-anonymous. You know their address, but you don't know who they are. And you can use it to make token ETH transfer from one account to the other, bypassing banks and government, and that's the core concept of decentralization. And some of the applications you can run on Ethereum is decentralized finance or DeFi, and the other is NFT. Eventually, if you want this Ethereum, your ETH to be exchanged into fiat, like a US dollar, then you have to go through a crypto exchange. That in itself is called centralized finance. Okay, I hope that was able to give you a quick tour of Ethereum. Hello, I have a quick change I need to make. So in this diagram on the upper right, I said that this is the crypto exchange, such as Binance Crypto, Robinhood. They can convert ETH to fiat, and I call this centralized finance. I really meant to say this is centralized exchange. And so because it's a centralized exchange, it probably is under the watchful eye of the government. And so that's a quick change to my slides.